Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Hello and welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome back, you guys. Hey, listen, I missed you guys last week. We had some technical difficulties. Just wanted to get that information out to you guys real quick, so I do apologize for that, but we are back up and we are going good. So listen, we got a few things to talk about here. First and foremost, obviously free agency for the NFL has begun, and it is, this is something I really wish I would have gotten to talk to you guys about last week, but we're going to go ahead and get on to it this week, since we have it. And of course, then we're going to dive into the NBA, see what's going on with the Heat and the Magic, check out some college basketball. Obviously, we only got one Power 5 team, still going on in college basketball right now, and that's my beloved Gators. So we'll cover what's going on there with Florida, and then after that, we'll double back to the MLB and the NHL and cover what's going on there at the start of the season. For baseball, spring training is in, so that's always good for a chance for these guys to get out there, get warmed up, get reacquainted with the mound and the bases, the whole 9 yards. So we'll talk about that, and then obviously we'll wrap it up with what's going on and get ready, because as of right now, actually, as of 2 minutes ago, the Panthers and the Bolts are playing right now. So if you're looking into that, that's something for you to eyeball right now while you have me in your ear. Go ahead and put your eyes on that channel, watch what's going on there with that game. And unfortunately, I'm not able to watch the game, or else I'd have it on right now. So that's unfortunate. But hey, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get into what we have for you today. First and foremost, this off season was already looking and shaping up to be a very interesting one from the least point of view, just free agency alone, because there's a lot of talent out there, and there's a lot of talent that on both sides of the fence, right? Like, there's a lot of talent that want to leave the places that they were at, and there's a lot of talent that was wanting to stay where they were at. Now, I'm very blessed to be a part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneer community as far as being a fan. That's the team that I follow, of course, and it's something that you love to see when all of your players want to return. And that was basically more or less the just, maybe barring one player specifically. But the most of our guys wanted to return. And guess what? We were able to get most of them to come back. So shout out to Jason Licht. My apologies. Listen, Jason Light's probably the best GM in the business right now. I mean, what he's done since he's come into Tampa Bay, I'm pretty sure it's shown itself. Just look at the turnaround this franchise has had compared to where it was before he got here. And also, one of the things that I want to give him his flowers for is drafting. He's definitely one of the best drafting GMs. If you look at what he's been able to just pull out of the draft, starting with Mike Evans, of course, Chris Godwin. There's some serious names here, and then obviously the mainstays of the people that you normally see, Vita Vea, of course, Levante David, of course, there's a bunch of guys here that he's either drafted or that he's made it possible for them to return and happily return, that really shows how good he is at his job and how well he, takes care of his players. I think that's something that some other GMs need to emulate here, especially when you look at some of the franchises that we see struggling and how they're struggling. One of those keys being the lack of drafting. Like, I think this is one of the things that people misunderstand about franchises. When you have a history of drafting well, you're also going to have a history of success. And I'm going to point out a couple of teams that this fits for, okay? In their history too. So I don't just want you to consider like, the last 10 years, last 20 years, like consider their entire history, right? So teams like the Baltimore Ravens is one of the first teams that comes to mind. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Now obviously they're in the same division, but obviously you see from what different players over their time they've been able to draft that has carried their team. And I think that's something that Jason Light is emulating here in Tampa Bay, especially with the pieces that he's been able to get. All the way up until last year, look at Yaya Diaby, played his tail off. Christian Eisen was an undrafted free agent. He came in and played better than Neal did for us. So it's a very important thing to have a GM who knows how to draft. And then, of course, the second aspect of that is know how to manage your personnel, right? And excuse me there. That's something that he does very well. You look at some of the great men in history, especially in military terminology. You look at people like Patton, right? And the reason why Patton was such an effective general is because he was a great handler of men. He knew exactly what to do, how to do it, and what personnel groups to utilize to get the maximum effect out of. Same thing with Eisenhower. Same thing with what's his name that bombed Tokyo. You get what I'm saying. Like the bottom line is that this leadership skill is showing itself, and I know I spent a few minutes talking about, but I had to give him his flowers because I feel like nobody's really doing that right now. Nobody's really paying attention to what he's able to do here in Tampa Bay. So let's talk about the details, right? I know I just kind of rambled a little bit, but realistically, what does all that mean, you ask me? Okay, well, so let's start with who he's re-signed, right? Who's staying in Tampa Bay? Mike Evans, of course, huge 2-year deal, and obviously I believe that the 2-year deal is just to gauge where Evans is at. Evans obviously knows he's not going to do this forever, and I don't think he wants to do it forever. I think once he gets to a specific area, as far as career-wise, he'll begin to see himself as possibly slowing down and, not necessarily leaving Tampa Bay, but getting to that point where he's ready to pass the mantle over to a younger guy. And that will take some time, of course. So I think a 2-year deal is great. It gives him a chance to see where he's going to be in 2 years and how, what if he wants to do something different. He doesn't want to do something different. And of course, it's all about making the players happy, right? So I'm very happy that Mike Evans is back. Of course, that's our guy. He's a buck for life. And that's going to be the aim. And 2-year deal just is just the start of it. Look at Levante David. He's been signing 1-year deal after 1-year deal after 1-year deal. And I think, obviously, if the money is right, the money is right. But I think a lot of these guys they're comfortable with going at this pace, especially since it allows them to dominate when they wrap up their career, instead of a team pushing them out of the door saying, oh, you know what, man, you didn't have a good season last year. This is the 3rd bad season you've had. We're going to have to let you. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things. Now, so like I said, Evans, David, of course, Levante David, I just mentioned he's going to returning on a 1-year deal. And then we have Baker Mayfield, who signed a 3-year, $100 million contract. Congratulations to Baker. He deserves it. In my humble opinion, I've always been a Baker fan, so I'm very happy that my team was able to get that for him, and I'm really happy that my team is also taking the steps necessary to improve this team. So far, the moves that have been made, I give them all pluses. I think that Tampa Bay has instantly gotten better over this offseason. I think that some of the pieces that we're losing out on are pieces that are near and dear to my heart because of that 2020 run that we had. Excuse me, but realistically, this is part of the business side of things, and that's why some guys had. Obviously, we were gonna have to say goodbye to some guys, and I think that's the case with every team. And I'm just glad that the players that we were having to say goodbye to aren't the heart and soul of this team, because in the past that has been the case, a few times, and not necessarily just to free agency, but also to injury. If you guys remember Cadillac Williams, okay, that's an example of one of those guys who came in and had the opportunity and made the most of it, but injury derailed everything. So, really glad for those guys. Obviously, Chase McLaughlin and Chase Edmonds both re-signing with Tampa Bay. McLaughlin was a phenomenal kicker for us last year. He really took the burden off of missing those field goals, which is something that's been an on and off issue for Tampa Bay over the last few years. When I say last few years, I really mean over the last decade. So yeah, that's a big plus right there. Good job, guys. Now, in free agency, as far as guys who weren't Buccaneers already, well, I have to say that with air quotations because one of these guys was a Buccaneer, okay? The free agent signings, though, so far, the big ones, that is, would be cornerback Bryce Hall coming in on a 1-year deal, or from the Jets, accompanied by our boy, another drafted player, okay? Safety Jordan Whitehead has returned to Tampa Bay on a 2-year deal. I'm so happy for this one. This is my favorite free agent move so far. That doesn't include already prior being a Buccaneer the year before, right? So we drafted Jordan Whitehead. He was absolutely phenomenal for us. Very, very, very potent during that Super Bowl run that we had, even splitting time with Mike Edwards, who is now in Kansas City. Congratulations, Mike Edwards. We still love you down here. But Jordan Whitehead, when I heard that the Jets had voided his contract, I was just like, yo, what are y'all doing? Y'all are crazy. Like, this guy's coming off one of his best seasons, as a safety and as a starter for that matter, and he played absolutely phenomenal for you guys. And obviously he played very well for Tampa Bay when he was here. And the only reason why he left is because we had to make room, and we had no money. We took a really big cap hit with Tom Brady. And, that was the sum of it. So, obviously, we knew we were going to have to say bye to some guys, and that included Mike Edwards and Jordan Whitehead, which were two of the most crushing for me because we saw what happened because of that last year. I mean, look who came in and played behind him. Neal played terribly, okay? He was one of the worst football players I'd ever seen last year. And I mean, like, Chris Conti bad, for those of you who remember him. He was that bad. And it was one of those things where I said to myself, man, you guys got to get this guy out of here, okay? You got to get him out of here. Because I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's taking his job seriously or if he is just out there running around. But it didn't seem like it. The latter, if you will. Now, the last big free agent signing so far has been Ben Bredeson. And he was a bit standout tackle for the Giants last year in that terrible team that New York had going on. And mind you, I'm saying that my mother loves the Giants. Mom, if you can hear me, I love you. But we saw what happened to the Giants last year. Okay, we've seen what's happened since they've had that head coach and that quarterback in the front seat. And I'm gonna be honest with you, they're both terrible. They both need to go. I mean, for the Giants to be successful. But here, I'm not talking about the Giants, though. I'm here to talk about Tampa Bay. And but that's just a sight that kind of crossed my mind when I saw what was happening. Because obviously Saquon Barkley left. He went to the Eagles. And then obviously, now you have an offensive tackle who left and went down to Tampa Bay. I mean, for us it's really good. For Ben it's really good. Just, kind of sad face for the Giants, but this again is the business side of things, and especially with the way that franchise is in the struggle that they've been in for the last few years, they're going to need some help and they're going to have to make some changes ASAP. As far as Tampa Bay goes, the changes they're making are absolutely phenomenal. I've often felt like this offensive line after Alex Kappa and Ryan Jensen and all those guys, after that offensive line fell apart, I feel like that's really where our struggles began because that offensive line was phenomenal. Absolutely one of our best, probably our best offensive line in Tampa Bay history. So that's something that really hurt to watch, but it is what it is. So good job, Buccaneers, getting on that offensive tackle. I know we're going to probably look at another offensive tackle, and we're also looking at another cornerback. I think those are two areas that we definitely need to go ahead and exercise, and I think all the other areas we can kind of focus in on the draft. Now, we could get an edge rusher too. That's something else that I've seen, and I think that would be pretty cool if we did get another guy to be on the other side of Yaya Diaby, who's an absolute force, who can bring the bear. So we'll see what happens there. But in the meantime, between time, that's what's been going on for the free agency for Tampa Bay. As far as the pluses, the minuses go as follows. We traded cornerback Carlton Davis to the Lions for a third-round draft pick. I think that's a solid move. We got Carlton Davis in the third round from Auburn. I'm a huge CD24 fan. I love the kid, but he played terribly last year, and over the last 2 or 3 years, he's really struggled since that Super Bowl. I'm not saying that his dedication isn't there, but I will say that if for him to be still relatively young and to have fallen off from his prime, or what had seemed to be his prime in that 2020 year, I understand this move by Tampa Bay, and I also don't blame them because Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean, my apologies, have both been injury prone over the last few years, and that's something else that I think that they considered. So best of luck to CD24. We love you, bro, but the business side of it, this is a move that I also would have made myself, because just looking especially at last year, if you guys remember that Texans game, it was like a 39-35 ball game, and Carlton Davis, I believe, got burned for 3 of those touchdowns. Okay, and for me, that was when I realized, I was like, all right, dude, you can't play from behind. You just can't. So, it is what it is. Good luck to him. The Buccaneers also let go of Shaq Barrett. Now, I believe that we wanted to re-sign Shaq Barrett, and that Shaq Barrett might have wanted to re-sign, but I don't think that because Tampa Bay pursued him quick enough and the Dolphins did is why he ended up down in Miami. Good luck to him down in Miami. We love Shaq Barrett as well. This is a guy who's just as near and dear to our heart as Carlton Davis, but I also understand this move because he was slated to make a ton of money, and over the last 2 years, his play has kind of diminished a little bit, and it's been noticeable. Of course, same thing with Carlton Davis. So I understand this move, although I think Tampa Bay was actually interested in probably re-signing him. I think they just want to take care of the other pieces first, and I know how it is when you get released and you're thinking, oh, they're going to bring me back. You got to take care of 1, 2, and 3 before you start taking care of 4, 5, and 6, That's just how that goes. And then Devin White to the Eagles. That doesn't surprise me. Devin White got himself in some trouble. Regardless of how well he plays for the Eagles, he kind of put himself in this situation. I hate that he went to Philadelphia, but hey, I guess that's where maybe that's where he wanted to go. Listen, I don't know. What I can tell you is this. Devin White, when he is on, is an absolute treasure at linebacker. But when Devin White gets into his own head, okay, and starts playing the way he did last year, I'm going to be honest with you, out of the 3 players, he might have played the worst. Okay, and that's because he's so good. Because we know how good he is. So that's something else to consider for the Eagles, but they're going to collect him on a 1-year deal on $7.5 million. He said he wanted a $100 million contract, but then he played the way he did last year, and I think that's the reason why he's not with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. And I don't think there's any other way around it, guys. So, but hey, that's what's going on there with Tampa Bay and free agency, guys. I know we spent a few minutes on it, but I want to make sure I got all the information that I missed from last week out to you guys. And then moving on to the Jaguars and the Fins, they have less free agency work going on. And when I say less, it's really just the Jaguars that are less. Miami is actually doing a number right now, now that they have some money to play with. And I think that they're making all the right moves because Miami is one of those teams where, they have a specific stat that's really high, and then they have 2 stats that are just completely mid. And then they go really high again. Look at wide receiver. Really high stats, right? Great wide receiver. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. You go to the running backs. You're like, whoa, these are some good running backs, bro. Then you get to, tight end, and you're like, who's this guy? You get to defensive back, and they're without, what's his name? You're just like, who are these guys? You see what I'm saying? So, a linebacker, who are these guys? So, Miami's made a lot of changes, so I'll go ahead and talk about Miami first. Miami went ahead and signed safety Jordan Poyer to a contract. I believe that was a 1-year contract. Great signing there by them. Obviously, Shaq Barrett we talked about earlier. Another great signing. I think this is a person who instantly makes their edge better, especially coming with his experience and the ability that he has on that first step, because that's Shaq Barrett's probably his best acquisite is his first step. Excuse me, guys. Tight end Jonnu Smith also agreed to terms with Miami, so good for them. That's a great pickup for them. As long as he can stay healthy, he could be lethal. Jordan Brooks, another linebacker, standout linebacker, very good player. I think that'll also help shore up that linebacker, that back 7 that they have, or not back 7, my apologies, but that defensive front 7, I should say. And I think that the team instantly got better on defense with all of these pickups. And of course, Kendall Fuller, cornerback. I was looking at Kendall Fuller, and I kind of feel like he was going to end up in Florida, whether it was with Tampa Bay or with Miami. So I'm not surprised there. Is he better than Bryce Hall? Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to say yes. And just assume it. But I would say that these are both great pickups for both South Florida teams, and we will see which defensive secondary shines the brightest once this season starts. So, again, Miami, just like the Buccaneers, busy in the offseason doing what they need to do. The Jaguars, who were busy spenders the 2 offseasons ago, have so far pretty much only signed Eric Armstead and Mac Jones, as far as big names are to be concerned, and then obviously they lose Calvin Ridley to the Titans. So Calvin Ridley to the Titans seems kind of weird, and the reason why is because they just fired their head coach. So whenever you go get a star receiver like that, you wonder what's going to happen in that QB direction. I guess we're going to have to wait and see Calvin getting ready to play with his 3rd quarterback in 6 years. So that's going to be something that's very interesting to watch, to see how he gauges that. He's a great receiver, played on Atlanta, now Jacksonville, spent a lot of time in the South. He's going to remain in the South with Tennessee. So, congratulations on the contract, but we will see if that works out for the better or for the worst. That's just how that one ends up there. But yeah, so that's what's going on, guys, with the Florida teams as far as the NFL is concerned in free agency. Like I said, Miami Buccaneers, both making very big splashes in free agency, doing things that you kind of expect them to do, especially since both teams are hot off of a playoff run. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, were able to do the most, especially with what they were able to find late in the season, which was that resolve to close out games and win games regardless of what the score was. And hopefully we're going to be able to do that again with our players now having some, without the issue of the money hanging over their heads now. We will see how they perform, and hopefully it allows them to perform at their very best, because seeing that Baker Mayfield Mike Evans connection last year was very reminiscent of another connection that we loved here so much in Tampa Bay, and we're hoping that it can only grow and get better. And what they were able to do last year with this team and the upgrades that they've made so far, and then obviously what's going to happen in the draft. Whenever you have a lethal GM like Jason Light, you're always in for an entertaining time at the draft, and I look forward to seeing what this team looks like come summertime, or the end of summertime, I should say, as we get ready to roll into training camp. So that's what's going on again, guys, in the state of Florida as far as NFL is concerned with free agency, guys. Next week I'll have some more information for you based off of what changes. Until then, we'll get it popping into the NBA after this very first break of ours. So keep it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, it's your boy, the SoCal Saint, the host of the premier professional wrestling podcast online today, the IE Elite Wrestling Show. If you're a fan and have a passion for the world of professional wrestling, this is the show for you. I take you inside the ropes with all the athleticism, high-flying, and hard-hitting action, and then we take it backstage with all the backstage drama and backstabbing that goes on in the world of professional wrestling today. If something's going on in the world of professional wrestling, rest assured, the SoCal Saint knows what's going on, and he's going to let you know too. If you're a fan, check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on IE Sports Radio. The IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling, on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports. Check us out.
Alrighty, you guys, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome back, guys. Shout out to Dad. Hey, Dad, how you doing? I see that you put that update there, so I appreciate that. So if you guys can't see in the comments, but the Lightning have scored first, striking the Panthers early in the first for a 1-0 lead so far. Let's pray that this continues throughout the night. You know, that's going to be big for them, you know, and we're going to talk about why that's going to be important later on, as far as to why they need to win and win consistently and often right about now. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and jump over to the NBA, guys. So in the NBA, the Heat and the Magic were kind of swimming at the same beat. That is no longer the case anyway. The Magic have now pulled away and are firmly in control of that fifth spot. The Heat sinking a little bit, dropping 4 in a row before this win yesterday against the Pistons. Now, the Pistons are the worst team probably in the NBA at the moment right now, so I don't... That win doesn't mean a lot, but it's a start. And hopefully they continue to win. They got another game against the Pistons coming up, but that game that they did win yesterday was by a score of 108-95, guys. Again, the Pistons, you know, worst record in the league at the moment. I don't think that it doesn't mean much winning this game, but like I said, it's a start. And you have to start somewhere. So hopefully the Heat can, nullify this 4-game losing streak that they were on and turn it into a 2-game winning streak once they take on the Pistons again tomorrow at 3 p.m. So that's what's going on with the Heat, guys. But they keep playing like this, they're going to be in the play-in or not at all. They may very well just not make the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I obviously have faith in this team, Jimmy Butler, Erik Spoelstra, but there's a lot of questions surrounding Tyler Hero. What's going to happen moving forward? Is he the guy? Is he not the guy? Who knows? He's hurt right now. So, we got to see what happens. Bam Adebayo, still a force, but the Heat are going to need some help, and this offseason they're going to have to make some serious adjustments. That's just what I see coming up for them, and it's very much so just that simple. The Magic, on the other hand, these guys look phenomenal. Okay, listen, a year ago I was saying that it would take about 2 years before they were ready to go and be playing big boy basketball. It looks like I was wrong. They're playing big boy basketball right now. They were able to beat the Raptors 113-103. The Raptors obviously not having the best record in the NBA either, but it doesn't matter because in tune to the Heat, who again were swimming at the same beat with 35 wins at the same time. I believe it was 34, 35. It has since changed to the Magic 39 and 28 be their record as they are rocking the plus sign and they're rocking the better side of that plus sign. They've been 3-2 in their last 5 and they're in 5th place in the East. This is exactly what you want to see from this type of young team. This tenacity, this just go out and get it mentality, and that's on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. This team is very young, but it's very capable, and they're playing at an extremely high level right now, again, for being as young as they are. So I'm very proud of the Magic and what they're able to accomplish. We will see what happens as they continue to move on. They will most definitely make the playoffs this year, so I can't wait to see how they perform there. But in the meantime, between time, hopefully they can continue stacking those W's and get to that 40 mark tomorrow against the Raptors at 6 p.m. Okay, so that's what's going on there for those two teams. Like I said, we're still on the road to the playoffs right now, so it's looking like the Magic are going to dominate inside and be able to get that 5th spot, with the top 4 being your usual suspects. So, good job, Magic. Keep up the good work. That's what's going on in NBA basketball, and now let's talk about college basketball. College basketball, also very simple right now. I'll talk about the Gators last simply because it's the only team that's still going, but both the Noles and the Canes in their season losing, there were higher hopes for Miami than the way they performed this year, but just like their football team, they decided to just fall flat on their face and ask themselves, what are we doing? They finished 15-17, which is a far cry from where I had them finishing, and I'm pretty much where everybody else had them finishing to start the season off. It just kind of shows how serious the momentum shift in basketball can be and how often it can hurt you if you don't hold on and continue to press, especially when you're finding success, and just stay with it. Of course, they did experience a couple of injuries, but again, the next man up mentality, especially with this tournament that we're experiencing right now, the March Madness tournament that's going on at this very moment, actually, the Canes just did not have it this year. They didn't. It was evident. I watched them play 2 games, I think it was this year, and I'm going to be honest with you, I just wasn't impressed watching that team play ball. They weren't impressive in transition. They weren't impressive on defense. And on offense, when they were able to get going, they looked good, but it was just as easy to stop as it was to get going. And if it took longer, then you get the idea. So hey, back to the drawing board, Miami goes. They finished with the worst record of the Power 5 teams here in Florida. Florida State, who was the team that we thought would finish with the worst record out of the Power 5 coming out of Florida, is a different ballgame. They're 17-16. They're on the plus side. Now, it's only by 1 game, but it's better than what Miami did, and it's better than nothing. FSU is on the right path. They just need to figure out that continuity and figure out what they want to do. They got to get some continuity as far as their players is concerned and keep the same group of guys together for 2 years, 3 years, and try to find some W's that way, because realistically, using the portal, and having these players come, in from other, places and try them out in this position, that position, whatever, it's not effective to sit there and be surgical. Okay, it's just not effective to sit there and be surgical at all. So hopefully Florida State's able to go back to the drawing board but find continuity rather than finding better players, which is what Miami's going to have to do in the draft, or not draft, but the portal. Once this offseason happens, they're going to have to go get some guys that are going to help in transition on defense. Florida State, of course, they need more help, but I think they just need more time together to find more success, because when this team is on, they're actually on, and they played better than Miami did this past year. That much is true. The Gators, on the other hand, this obviously isn't weird for us, as a college that knows how to do a little bit of it all. I'm very proud of what the Gators have been able to accomplish. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, obviously, if you guys watched the game yesterday, Florida was able to get some vindication on one ranked 3 Alabama team, which was huge, not just, obviously, for the tournament, but for the Gators and inside, like that internal thing, you know, that dog in them, if you will. And I'm very proud of them for getting that W back, especially after having a couple of rough ones, earlier this season, especially a rough loss to Alabama earlier this season, which was something I was actually watching the game. They were winning, and then I started watching, and then they lost, and then I felt like it was my fault. So I'm pretty sure you guys know how that feels. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm pretty sure we all experienced that at some point in time. So just something ironic that I think that took place. But hey, listen, it's always great to be Florida Gator, like my dad says in the comments. Dad, if you don't mind doing me a favor and put that score of that Florida Texas A&M game in the comments so I could see what happened there, because I wasn't watching it, but I was tracking it on ESPN. The last time I saw it was 68-65 Gators with 9:43 left in the game. The Gators rocking a ranked 6. Texas A&M is a ranked 7, so their records kind of reflecting that as well. The Gators 23-10, Texas A&M 10-13. This was a team, if I remember correctly, Texas A&M actually beat Florida earlier this season, and so it would be big for the Gators to get this one back as they move over. I think this was the semifinals of the tournament for them, so it would be really big for them to get that one back and to continue to move forward in this March Madness tournament. I would love to see it. But like I said yesterday, the Gators were able to pull off an upset against Bama. It was a stunner, a 102-88 shutdown of one Alabama Crimson Tide. And let me tell you, it's always bigger in football, but make no mistake about it, it's always great to beat that Alabama team because we know exactly what that college is capable of, historically speaking. And, it doesn't matter the sport. Just being able to get a dub on them is huge. And same thing with Georgia. Georgia, I'm not going to walk over you. Our Gators were actually able to put away Georgia 85-80 earlier this week as well. Congratulations to our boys on handling that one as well. Okay, perfect. So Gators win 95-90 against Texas A&M. Good job, boys. What a win that is. Absolutely monumental as we get ready to move forward into the next step of this March Madness tournament. And come next week, I'll be able to give you some more information on what takes place afterwards. But until then, congratulations to our Gators. Georgia, followed by Alabama, and now Texas A&M have all succumbed to the chomp. So congratulations to the boys in blue and orange. We are very, very, very proud of you. We love you. Keep it going, and best of luck to you, boys. We'll be right at your back. We'll be right at your back, guys. So that's what's going on there in NBA action and college basketball action, guys. Let's take one more quick break, and when we get back, we'll wrap things up with NHL and MLB, and I'll get you on your way for next week, and then, get it set up so we can talk about what's going on as we get closer, like I said, to the end of this March Madness tournament, guys. So I can't wait to see what happens next. But keep it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host. And as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college in the CCCAA and in the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well then, look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is our fearless leader, Larry B, in the house. And, he does a great job setting everything up for us to be successful here on this platform. And, guys, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Per the update, Dad, thank you for that information as well. The Gators will play against Auburn tomorrow in the SEC final. This team would obviously go ahead and move on into, the next spot, I should say, as far as the March Madness tournament will go down, and that will wrap up SEC play for this year once that game is finished. The Gators have a chance to get one back. They lost to Auburn earlier this year. I was watching that game, and that was another one of those games where it was like, oh man, I start watching it and they start losing. So hey, I'm not gonna watch tomorrow's game. Hopefully we get the dub. But yeah, that's what it is. Thank you again, Dad, for that. I appreciate it. Now, guys, on to our last two bits for the evening. We got some MLB, a little bit of news there in the MLB. The Rays are actually in spring training right now, along with the rest of the entire MLB. At the moment, they lost to the Twins yesterday, 6-5. But hey, like I said before, it's good for these guys to get reacquainted with the mound, get out there, experience the heat, experience the speed, get themselves back in position as we get ready for the start of the actual season, which will be coming up later this month. Get ready for that. The next game for the Rays is going to be tomorrow against the Pirates. That's going to be a 1:05 start time. That's PM, of course. So if you guys want to check out some springtime baseball in the middle of the day, no better time to do it. 1:05 start time. Pirates, Rays tomorrow. MLB baseball, baby. You gotta love it. Now, as far as the first game of the regular season, that will be against the Blue Jays, Thursday, March 29th, 6:50 p.m. A little bit later start time than normal as far as that 6 p.m. start time. But hey, listen, it'll be as close to 7 o'clock as you can get. All right, prime time, Thursday night matchup. There's nothing else going to be in the way, most likely. There might be hockey, but aside from that, there's nothing else that's going to really be in the way. We got a chance to watch the first game of the season coming up later this month. I'm excited about it personally. I hope that I'm able to get it on Spectrum. If I am, I will watch it. So, and I'll be able to give you guys a bird's eye view of what this team looks like. Until then, though, just some more spring training, a couple more games to go before the start of the regular season. So, again, I can't wait. I look forward to seeing this team perform. Unfortunately, we did lose Taj Bradley. He did go down with an injury. One of our better pitchers in the ball club, the young guy with a lot of upside, a lot of skill, and he's going to start the season on the injury list. So hopefully he is able to get healthy again and will be able to play sooner than later. Until then, no rushing. Let's just let the kid get healthy and make it back on his own time. And hopefully the Rays can still start strong and perform well. Of course, they're most likely not going to start off the way they did last year, but hey, listen, we can dream, right? So, go Rays. We love you guys. Good luck. Stay healthy. Get healthier, I should say, as far as our injuries are concerned. But other than that, let's go ahead and move on over to the NHL, guys. And in the NHL, the Bolts are actually, they're trying to hang in there. In the Atlantic, they're fourth. They're going to be playing the Panthers. That game has already started, like I said, with the Bolts having a 1-0 lead right now early in the first. Against the best team in the Atlantic, that would be the Florida Panthers. So a battle of Florida tonight. One of the better battles in the NHL that you'll be able to find, at least in-state. That game started at 6 p.m. So if you want to, get caught up, you got to go catch it now, as it heads into, should be heading into the middle of the second period right about now, I'm assuming. Now, the next game for the Bolts is going to be against the Las Vegas, I believe it's Vegas. I'm getting these things mixed up. The Golden Knights, ladies and gentlemen. The Golden Knights. Jesus. I know it, but I don't know it, right? So, the Golden Knights, though, that game is going to be Tuesday, March 19th at 10 p.m. Guys, it's a little bit later start time than normal for our Bolts hockey team, but we'll be able to have a look at a pretty balanced team as well. This is a team that won the whole thing last year, if I remember correctly, and also a team that is rocking a very similar record to what the Bolts have at the moment. So, this is going to be about as close as a matched on-paper game that we're going to get. Hopefully, the Bolts can come out tonight, finish off the Panthers, play well against the Golden Knights, and find another leg to this wave of success that they're riding right now. 3-1 in their last 4, so today means a lot. And, obviously if they're able to play well, then, it spells postseason again for them. And that's the mantra for this team, for this Bolts team that has done so well over the last few years is, play well late in the season, especially when it counts, play well defensively, and really find some momentum, head into the playoffs, and ride that momentum, through each series, just kind of getting to your landmarks, doing exactly what you got to do, identifying the weakness in the other team, closing down your weakness to said other team, and then delivering knockout blows, which is exactly what the Bolts have done in order to get 2 of their last 3 Stanley Cup Finals appearances into Stanley Cup victories. So here's an update per Dad. Thank you again, Dad. The Lightning are winning 2-0 right now with 4:26 to go in the first. So this game's going a little bit slower than I expected it to. But hey, I love to see that right there. Early success for the Bolts. Hopefully they can maintain that and not let the Panthers find a way to get back into this game. which is something that the Panthers have actually done a few times against the Bolts. So come on, guys, you start strong, you have to finish strong too, boys. That's what it comes down to. Now, that's the Bolts. As far as the Panthers next game will be against the Predators. That's going to be a little bit more balanced as well for them. Predators rocking a 38-25-4 record right now. That game is going to be Thursday, March 21st, 7:30 p.m., guys. So if you want to see what happens with the Panthers next after this game, that's going to be the game to check out. Like I said, Predators, Thursday, March 21st, 7:30 p.m., guys. That's basic start time for Panthers game, for Florida game start, as far as that's to be concerned. Of course, that's Eastern Standard Time, of course. So, if you want to check that game, I'll be prepared for it, especially if you're over on the West Coast. The Panthers, like the Bolts, 3-1 in the last 4, still the best team in the Atlantic, but showing cracks right now against the Bolts. We'll see if the Bolts can continue to dominate in this fashion. And of course, if they can, this would be a huge W for them as they get ready to, like I said, make this late push into the postseason. And so yeah, that's what's going on there. That's what's going on there in the ice, guys. Thank you so much for enjoying this show with me today, guys. I hope I didn't rush the show any, but I'm still doing a little bit of this congestion, all this polling out, guys. If only you guys could see. I ran my 3.5 miles this morning, trying to get back into that into decent shape, to say the least. I'm not overweight or anything like that, but it's a process to be in shape and not just look it, right? So, and I'm trying to find, what it takes to get back to there. Also, I've put on some weight, which is good for me because I've been a small guy for the most part of my life, so putting on some weight is also good. I want to regulate that, of course, by making sure I can still, be active, So, loving sports, that's what comes with it. And, I look forward to it. And if you're not working out, dude, I'm tell you right now, let this be an encouragement. Work out. It doesn't matter what you do. Personally, for me, because running has always been the thing that takes the longest for me to get back into shape with. That's what I'm going with. Of course, I do upper body, lower body whenever I want. But realistically speaking, I know that running has been my deficit at times. Whether it had been my time in the military when I first started there, I wasn't a great runner, so I had to work extra hard. I had to run every day, sometimes twice a day. And so that was something I learned to do, and now it's ingrained in me. So now that's what I get out. I just go run, And listen, so it's been a big help, great stress reliever, great way to put the body in a find your center, if you will, as far as physically speaking, with that mental physical connection. Something for you guys to consider. But of course, if running's not your thing, try other things. Try, maybe it's weights, maybe it's aerobics, maybe it's, who knows, whatever it is, get into it, guys. Get into it. Let this be encouragement for that. And it's not because we're at the top of the year. You want a little removed from the top of the year, but you get what I'm saying. In any case, like I said before, thank you so much for joining me here on Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name has been Corey Pools, your host, and as always, is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Spend time with your family. You know what my mantra is. Tell your loved ones that you love them. Dad, I love you. We'll talk later tonight, I'm sure. Mom, I love you. Sis, niecey, poo, nephew, you guys, I love all you guys, and I just hope that everything's going well for all of you guys out there, especially my listeners. For all you guys, I hope you guys are having a good stroke at life at the moment. If you're not, it's around the corner for you. Always praying for positivity and success for everybody. So listen, have a great weekend, rest of the weekend, I should say. Like I said, spend time with your family, love your loved ones, and if you're going to church in the morning, I'll see you there, guys. Have a wonderful evening. Again, my name has been Corey Pools, your host for Palm Tree Sports Radio, your direct brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a wonderful night, people. Peace.